Good morning, everybody. I'm a little embarrassed. I told you guys we are going to be doing this movie for 31 Days of Monsters, Michael Mann's The Keep. And I owe everybody, including my wife, a great apology because this movie was horrible. This is what I get for making up a list that and adding films on there that I have not yet seen. I've heard about that. I thought I had seen this movie years ago, but I think I only saw part of it and turned it off. Well, we muscled through the entire thing yesterday, and what a pretentious piece of shit this thing was. Oh my god, I can't believe. I can see why it hasn't been released widely again, and I guess Michael Mann has kind of disavowed it. One of the funniest things was the source material. The author who wrote the book it was based on, he hated it so much that he ended up writing a short story called Cuts. And it was about an author who murders, I think, the director of a film who completely butchered his work. How's that for getting even, huh? You know, if you saw this, oh wait a sec, we're on the wrong page here. Hold on a sec, let me get this back. There we go. If you saw this, I think, oh my god, this looks so cool. I got to see this. You know, you got a Nazi standing there against this golem-like figure. But that's as good as it gets. I mean, all the money went into the sets on this thing. They filmed it in like a granite cave or something overseas, and it looks really, really cool. The village looks cool. The monster, when you finally see him, looks cool too. But getting there is just a chore. Scott Glenn plays who knows what. We're not sure. He calls himself a traveler. He has these glowing eyes, just like the monster does. He has this artistic sex with the daughter of Ian McKellen's character in this movie. And we don't really even know what this thing is and what they never completely explain it. There's untold scenes of nothing happening, you know, and to top it off, we're treated to Tangerine Dream's ethereal music playing in sequences where really there should be no music at all. Just a dialogue scene, you know. It's not scary, it's not romantic, it's nothing. It's just dialogue. Maybe just even expository dialogue, which we don't need music for. There was one scene where Scott Glenn, for whatever reason, he wakes up. He's over in Greece. He wakes up. His eyes are glowing, and he knows he's got to get over to Romania, you know, where the keep is. And so he hires a boat from Greece, and we're treated to 45 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you look at your screen and then look at your watch and time 45 seconds out of him. Well, not even just him, but just the boat that he's on, sailing across the water, motoring across the water, you know, with the sun setting and stuff like that. Interminable. You know, at one point I just looked over to Julie. I said, okay, we got it. He's in a boat. He's going to Romania. Got it. You know, what? Just this kind of stuff, just on and on and on. It was terrible. But thankfully, we have some good ones coming up. Tomorrow, of course, will be the classic Invisible Man with Claude Rains. We watched that yesterday too, and wow, that movie's so good. But I got to keep my mouth shut because I got to talk about that tomorrow. What else? What else can I say about this movie? It's got a great cast. I mean, Scott Glenn. This is 1983, the same year Scott Glenn made this turkey. He also made The Right Stuff. Fantastic film. Michael Mann said that, he wanted to kind of make this like a fairy tale, like a dream-like thing. Well, it's more like a fever dream where so much stuff doesn't make sense. And to contrast that, uh, the right stuff was also meant to be sort of uh, not dreamlike, but ethereal in places, and that hits it out of the park. That movie is such a great film, and this is such a turd. It was like just when is this over yet? And here's the thing: I don't know how long this movie was. It just seemed interminable. But Michael Mann has his original cut was like 3.5 hours. I can't even imagine 3.5 hours of this movie. Oh, good Lord, sir. Let me just say good morning to everybody here. Chris Juliano is here. Rob Fellows, our usual cast of characters. James Allen is here. Dr. Mask's Retro Elixir is here. JP Roca. Trig Lehman is here. JDC. Marcus Kelligrew. Excellent, excellent. I guess Marcus watched it on YouTube because he said the YouTube commercials. I actually rented it. It was only $2.99, but man, that's $2.99. I'd like to get back. Stat Zero is here. He says, "Good morning. I remember this flick. Great cast, jumble production, terrible movie." Well, that about sums it up, Stat. Yeah, I mean, you got a great cast. You've got Scott Glenn. You've got Ian McKellen. Sir Ian McKellen, who, by the way, at this point in his career was very, very theatrical in his interpretations. I've seen some of these films from the early 80s, late 70s that McKellen is in, and he's just over the top. I can't believe he, evolved into this, incredible actor. Gabriel Byrne, who's in this, another great actor who we don't see enough of anymore. But yeah, great cast, great cast. The production values are really, really good. It suffers from some 80s isms. The girl lead, the actress whose name I can't remember right now, she looks like she just stepped out of a 1980s music video. Her hair, her makeup. This is supposed to take place in 1941, and she looks like she's from the 1980s. And then, of course, that Tangerine Dream musical soundtrack is just. You could see where Michael Mann was taking some of this stuff, some of this artisticness that he was trying to put across in his film, because this movie bombed for him. He'd only directed one film prior to this, the James Caan film Thief. So his genre seemed to be pretty good with crime, and which was evidenced shortly thereafter. Because this thing bombed, he went into TV and created Miami Vice, and then eventually Crime Story as well. And this type of music and this type of art direction was clearly evident, and this is a precursor to what he did with Miami Vice. Leg Kick One is here too. Excellent. Dr. Mass says the soundtrack was particularly bad. It's just, yeah. Again, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can juxtapose modern or modernistic music with archaic scenery or the past, if you will, of it taking place in World War II, 1941, and have this kind of modern music. But I don't know. It just seems so disjointed to me. It's kind of like cutting meat against the grain, It made the steak tough. Let's see. Rob Fellows says it also had bad editing, awful sound and soundtrack, confused story, and uneven acting. The Welsh Quarry set looked cool, but oh dear, the ending. Yes. 100%. Yes. I thought that too. I thought that this character looked a lot like Darkseid. Yeah, IMDb said it was like 3.5 hours, something like that. And that's 3 hours too long. As we were watching this, and we're seeing all these scenes of nothing happening, uh, in my mind, I'm breaking the whole plot down and everything. And this is a Twilight Zone episode. At best, an Outer Limits episode. Give it 60 minutes of airtime. Break that down to 45 minutes after commercial breaks and stuff. This is a 45-minute movie, which in its concept probably could have been pretty cool as a TV show. And just bang, bang, bang. Get into it and get out. But just the pretentiousness of some of the camera work and scenes and nothing happening. And here's the other thing: people walk backwards a lot in this movie. You know, do you ever walk backwards in a scary situation? Unless there's a wall behind you and you're backing up to a wall to set yourself. I mean, what the hell? It's that back up, turn around, wah thing. Yeah, I hate when people do stupid stuff in horror movies. I had to watch Son of Frankenstein after The Keep as a palate cleanser. But we did the same thing. We watched The Invisible Man as a palate cleanser and loved it. So great. Neith says, such a turd, Graham, 2022. Hey, everything can't be a hit. That's for sure. And as I said, sometimes that's the fun of putting some of these on my list that I haven't seen. Sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised, like watching Dog Soldiers the other day. A lot of folks had recommended that, and I watched it, and I agreed. I liked it. I may not have liked it as much as some people, but I liked it. This is another one people have mentioned to me over the years, and I decided, well, I'll put this on. And yeah, I think some of the fun is that it was just so bad. We get to rag on it. Hey, Jaime Diaz. Good to see you, sir. I got a question for you, Jaime. Because your last name is Diaz, I'm assuming it's pronounced Jaime and not Jamie. Let me know. I'd hate to mispronounce your name. The Keep, Rob. It's called The Keep. And it's not a keeper. Nate Greenberg says the book is great. Okay. I can believe that. I mean, most times the books are far superior to any movie version. Pete Tui says he hasn't seen it in at least 30 years, and he guess he won't bother rewatching it. Yeah, I thought I watched it, and I realized as I'm getting into it that, nope, I probably turned this off about a half hour in. Richie Dupe says a lot of Shakespeare is over the top. I often wonder if he wrote Flash Gordon movie. I think he's referring to Ian McKellen's playing to the back row style of acting in this. There's so many disjointed scenes. There's this Robert Protsky plays a priest in this, and the priest is friends with the Ian McKellen character. And then at one point, he comes in there and they have this screaming match which just comes out of nowhere. And he runs off into his church, and the daughter chases after him. She opens up the door of the church, and he's there kneeling in front of the altar holding a crucifix. and he's bleeding and he looks like he's possessed. What just happened? Stat Zero says, "Congrats on 37K for the Ghosts of Matacumba Key." Yeah, we hit 37K this morning. Isn't that great? Onward and upward. Hey, that trailer that we opened up the show with from Matacumba Key, much better than The Keep. Be a much better movie. I've never talked about this movie with Chuck. I wonder if he's seen it. I'm sure he has. I'll have to mention it to him. If he has seen it, I'm pretty sure you're right. He'd be screaming in the background. Frank J. Farrar is here. Good morning, Frank. That was a long walk back by that last SS Nazi. Yeah, and he did it backwards too, half the time. Again, I think the concept is cool. It was the execution that was the problem. I like the idea of some character called the Traveler. It would have been nice to find out what the Traveler's purpose was. Why did he end up staying in the keep or being sucked into the keep? What were his powers? Where did they derive from? What is his purpose and his relationship to this golem-like character in the keep? There's so much to work with here, and just so many missed opportunities. Have you heard EVS's pitch for his horror comic Fearsome? I have not. All right, I got another werewolf recommendation called Howl. Unique and fun take. All right. And he says, "I want to see Gray make a movie. Comics are cool too, but you seem really passionate about good horror flicks." Yeah, I am passionate, but I have no interest in doing that. There's too many cogs in those wheels and too many people to answer to. One of the unique things about comics is that it can be completely controlled by one person. If you're the writer and the artist, and in my case, the publisher too, uh, I can make all the decisions and I don't have to answer to investors and studio executives or anybody else, which is what a lot of cases ruins films. Is that cooks in the kitchen. So I just like to enjoy good movies and criticize them from the storytelling aspects, or promote them because of the great storytelling aspects. But it's not something I've ever really had an interest in doing. Yeah, Nick Grosh is who I use for my trailers, and I've turned him on to the other guys. I think Andy and Aaron are both using him now too. Nick had approached me when I first launched the Chinook. I didn't have a trailer. I just was, I gave like a little video, uh, you know, shot like this, and it looked terrible. And he said, "Oh, hey, I like your campaign and everything, and I made this fan video. What do you think?" And I was like, "Wow, I was blown away. This is awesome." He allowed me to use it, and I said, I'd like to use you for my future campaigns, and I've gone back to Nick for each one because he does such a great job. So shout out to Nick. Kevin says most CG books would make great films. This movie is a victim of studio cuts. Is it, Sean? I mean, I just can't imagine the indulgences of a 3.5 hour version of this. Maybe if and I don't know this to be true, if Michael Mann made the cuts himself, then uh, you know it might be better. But I don't know. Delaware Comics Dude says, "Hail Comicsgate! Hail, hail to Comicsgate! Bringing fun back to comics." Exactly, James. Complete control. And it's more than control, it's a vision. It's the ability to, put your vision out there for good or for bad, whatever it is, but at least it's uniquely yours. And it's not Frankensteinian in that, you've got so many other pieces to it. Um, that's what I love about comics is the purity of it. It can be completely pure. Um And the best comics, as far as I'm concerned, are the pure ones, the writer artist. That's not to say that combinations, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and, you know, uh, connecting, me and Chuck together connect and create, great stuff. Um, but it's not as pure as say like Will Eisner, who writes and draws his own stuff. Oh, Joe Frankenstein, he's listening, getting some love this morning. And there's going to be some announcements about Joe Frankenstein coming up. So stay tuned. What do you think of the Van Helsing film with Hugh Jackman? In my opinion, the use of those movie monsters was tacky and wacky. That is another colossal turd that should have been great. Just the concept of it should have been great. That's one of the few movies where Julie likes horror movies. She doesn't like gore fests or slasher films, but she loves to watch classic horror. And she got up and walked away from that one. We were watching it on TV, rented it, and she actually got up and walked away. I had to stick it out. I had to see it all the way through. But the stupidity of having an automatic crossbow, shooting wooden, instead of like a machine gun, was absolutely inane. Frankenstein was more robot than anything else. Um, the outfits, it was like, what are you trying to do? This could have been this wonderful action horror film. If you watched last year's episode that I did of the Mummy's Hand, which was like the first action adventure horror film, and sort of like a precursor to Indiana Jones, and it's sort of the basis of my entire line of comics. I love that genre. I love having a heroic hero inside a horror genre, somebody to root for. That's why The Thing from Another World is my all-time favorite movie. It has the horror sci-fi elements, but then we have people to root for. And that Van Helsing movie was just, again, a hodgepodge piece of crap of self-indulgence, of not understanding the genre, not understanding the characters, and having way too much money to play with, and not enough vision. So yeah, to quote myself, another colossal turd. A colossal turd that should have been great. Put that on the back of a box. Oh, that's great. I love when you guys requote me. Sometimes this stuff just comes out, you're not thinking. Oh, Lordy. Okay, I think I got through the chat here. Welcome to everybody. All right, we made it through this one, guys, and I promise tomorrow will be if you're gonna watch the movie ahead of time, that The Invisible Man is awesome. James Whale, This is his, what, third? Fourth. Let's see. What year did this come out? No, this is before Bride. So this was Frankenstein, The Old Dark House, and The Invisible Man, I believe is the order. So this is like his third film. And I think at this point, you know, his skills are just at its apex. The Invisible Man is such a wonderful film, and the special effects, considering it was 1932, I think this film was made, they still hold up. The invisibility stuff still hold up, and we'll talk about that again tomorrow. But somebody mentioning Thing from Another World. I must address it. I must. I love Howard Hawks' snappy dialogue from The Thing from Another World. Oh, hey, that reminds me. I got something I got to share with you guys. If there's anybody out there in the chat or anybody who ends up watching this later on that lives in the Western New York area, on October 27th, October 22nd and 23rd, the North Park Theater in Buffalo, it's a classic old theater with a big screen, is going to be showing a double feature. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and The Thing from Another World. And on the 22nd, I will be doing a presentation at the theater before these films. I'm so excited to do this. I chose the movies because they're two of my favorite in the genre, and they're Halloween perennials. And when I talked to the North Park Theater, Ray Barker is there, and he said he could get both those, and he got them both. And I said, let's do a double feature, because double features were so cool when I was a kid. And so I'll do a presentation on the 22nd. So if you're in the area, if you're in the Western New York area or close enough to come by, just check, go to the North Park Theater's website, and it'll have the information there. But that is going to be way too cool and so much fun. I'm so excited to do this because I just love those movies and can't wait to talk about them. So anyway, gang, thanks so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to spend our mornings together, have a little coffee, and a little monster talk. And tomorrow, we'll be back, same bad time, same bad channel, for The Invisible Man. Until then, remember, back the ghosts of Matakumba Key. Subscribe if you haven't done so. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have already. Hit those like buttons, and let's move on down the road to more monsters tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. See ya. Bye-bye.